Okay, I'm gonna call the Budget, Finance, and Governance Committee to order and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Councilmember Gruber,
Here.
Councilmember Martin,
Here.
Councilmember Monroe,
Here.
Vice President Harris is excused, President Melendez.
Here.
Thank you.
And let the record show we're joined by Councilmember Lupien. I'm sorry, I didn't realize she had stepped out. But while she joins us, I would point council's attention to a couple of documents on your table. The Bloomberg American Sustainable Cities Program. It says on our agenda we have a presentation, but in lieu of a presentation, we have a letter explaining what the program is, a little bit of overview of the program from the entire national perspective. And I'd love to take a few minutes to let council members read this if they haven't already. It was sent to us yesterday. And we'll ask a couple of questions if people have any that could be responded to in writing. So I'll just give people a minute to read this.
Councilmember Gruber.
Yes.
So this is all tied to Intro 55, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, feel free to take a couple more minutes to keep reading. I have a couple of questions, so I'll start there, and then I'll go down the aisle if anyone has any themselves. First of all, welcome Natasha to the city of Rochester. Glad to have you with us. So the Deputy Mayor, no questions are going to be answered now. I can't know like when the year started. Is it a calendar year? You gonna stick to this rule?
Ask your question.
When does the year start? When did the year start? When did your term of service begin?
I started August 12th of last year, and that's when our 3-year grant with Bloomberg began.
And are you with us for three years?
I am,
Oh,
yes.
Wonderful. Well, great. Welcome. And Councilmember Lupien, we're just going to ask some questions on the Bloomberg program that is laid out on your desk. My main question, which I'm sure will be answered in writing, it says in paragraph 4 that potential projects in the 25 cities include developing affordable, energy-efficient housing, increasing access to clean energy, investing in electric vehicles and infrastructure, and more. My question is, what is the process for deciding said project? What is the timeline for deciding said project? And I suppose I'll just add two sub-questions, which is what is the role of community engagement in developing those projects, and what is the role of the City Council in developing said projects? So I'd love to see some answers to those at some point, unless anyone changes their mind and wants to give them now. Councilmember Monroe, any questions from you?
The question I have is the I-team then, are you people who are coming in from the Bloomberg group, or are you city employees?
It looks like that will be captured and answered in writing. Any further questions to add to our report, Councilmember Monroe?
No.
Councilmember Martin? Council President?
Yes, just looking at the document that's in front of us, talks about the issue, the moment, and the solution. And the moment seems to have changed a little bit. I just wonder, in terms of what might be happening federally, how that impacts us locally. That could be in writing, or if someone dares to take a swing at that, I would appreciate it.
Councilmember Lupien.
Yep, that was my question. Given the current administration's disbelief in climate change, how does that impact us? Thanks.
And I suppose just understanding, so it's 3 years of funding commitment from Bloomberg, the Bloomberg Foundation, regardless of the federal.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And those funds, I guess this would be a question for Reading, but other than supporting, I'm sorry, Natasha, I almost called you Natalie. Natasha's time, are there other things that the grant pays for? Thanks.
I actually have a
Sure.
follow-up. I would like to understand because the first part of this, the first paragraph says that it's a 3-year initiative to turbocharge 25 U.S. cities in efforts to leverage historic levels of federal funding. So I'd like to understand what piece is federal funding and what piece is funded by Bloomberg.
Yeah, and I will just say we're thrilled to have Natasha on board. So you have a lot of interaction with her thus far. Really, pleased with the energy that she brings, the great work that we know that she will do, and look forward to keeping council updated as this work progresses. And certainly, at some point, it's probably a great topic for a work session. So,
Okay. Looking forward to getting some of those answers and hopefully scheduling a work session. So we'll move on now to a brief presentation on where we are with the Neighborhood Ambassador Program. Ms. Ruiz,
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Good afternoon, everyone.
could you move the mic up a little bit?
There we go.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. We are submitting legislation to amend the ambassador contracts with the Father Tracy Advocacy Center and the Baraka Muslim Center. We're extending the Neighborhood Ambassador Program for another year, and we will utilize the opioid compensation funds in the amount of $250,000 for $125,000 each. And we are currently scheduled to have a working session today, so we hope to see everyone there.
So you presented a good number of a good amount of data with the introductory itself, but would you just give a sense of some of the biggest highlights of the two programs that we are extending?
Absolutely. So our program started in April. So it's currently will be scheduled to end in March. So that's the first thing. The contract started in April. We have roughly, we fluctuate between 10 to 17 ambassadors at the Father Tracy's Advocacy Center, and as well as the same amount over at Baraka. The one thing to keep in mind is that Baraka did have a transition in leadership there. So they are currently catching up on their KPIs that they were not able to submit in the first half. But we could also go into a lot more detail at the working session.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there's confidence that these two partners are the right partners to proceed
Yes.
with. Okay. President Melendez?
Yes, thank you for this. I just want to make sure I understand what we're functionally doing. So we are keeping the existing, essentially we have contracts already, so we're just extending the contracts and adding resources to it.
that's right. So we're going into year 2 with both of these partners in the listed quadrants.
And then for the other two that started later, the anticipation is, obviously it has to come before us again, but the anticipation is that we will extend those other two entities that we already have a partnership with as well.
That would be our hope.
Okay. And, just from the community perspective, I think I've heard a lot of great feedback about the program. There's not a quadrant of the city that doesn't appreciate having the ambassador program in their neighborhood. I do wonder if there's been any conversations or evaluation as to whether 125,000 is the number per each entity. And while I'm fully supportive of moving forward with where we are now, I do want to maybe have some additional conversations or have some conversations with the entities about whether or not this is covering their needs. Thank you.
Councilmember Lupien?
I would agree. At least one partner that I've spoken with, it's costing them money to run this program. So I agree that we need to look at the number and understand what the budget should look like. I wonder why we're not authorizing the first two up until the next budget year, and then being able to authorize all four together?
We'll respond in writing based on timing of contracts and that sort of thing. So
Yeah, personally, I would prefer it if they were all together, as they are the same program, and it would make me feel more comfortable about the ambassador program in my district getting renewed. And I would echo the comments of my colleagues that this is a really transformational program, and the folks that are being employed are moving into rehab and housing at unprecedented rates. It is amazing what a sense of purpose and community will do for someone, and I'm very proud of this program.
Yeah, thanks for those comments. I think for me, probably the most meaningful thing are the testimonies that we hear, right? Those impacts that this is having in the lives of our ambassadors. And, you know, it's been great for year one. And I think, you know, if year one continues, certainly the impact will just continue as well. So.
Any additional, Councilmember Monroe, then Martin?
One piece that I would like to know is, will the current ambassadors be the ones that they continue with, so it's a multi-year program, or how does that work as they, you know, look to also bring on others?
Yeah, we'll cover that in the work session, but it's a good question.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
The other piece I wanted to say is that certainly in the Northwest, I've only heard positive things about the program, that Cameron is doing a good job. Lyle Otis Community Association, you know, they're seeing people doing the work out on Lyle, seeing the connections that they're making with other people who are hanging around. And it's just been a positive experience.
Yeah, thanks for that. I would echo that. You know, just in driving throughout the city, I've seen folks out just at different times, and it's a great thing to see them out and engaging with the community.
Councilmember Martin.
Are there any specific changes you will be making to this next cycle based on lessons learned, ways to improve the program?
We'll cover that in the work session, but Lily, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yes, I will cover that in the working session.
Sounds good. Thank you.
When is the work session scheduled? That's the one today. Oh,
Yep.
the one about the opioid dollars generally is more encompassing than only the ambassador program?
It'll be both.
Yep.
It'll
It's
be
a work
both. I'll
session.
cover both.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
Great,
this is funded
comprehensive.
by the opioid settlement, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. If no further questions, then we will wait until the work session and proceed with the legislative work. Okay. Introductory number 54, a resolution approving a reappointment to the Civil Service Commission. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Council President Melendez.
Yeah, just one question. I know that sometimes vacancies lag behind, but this was someone that was already appointed. Why was this legislation brought before council now when the term ended in May?
Thank you for that question. Yes, her term did end in May of 2024. According to public officers law, she can remain in that position until she either says we find someone to replace her, or she's going to stay. So she let us know she was going to stay. I think another piece, which is on my part, is that when we looked at her current appointment being January, we were thinking take it to city council at the beginning of the year. So.
All right, thank you.
I'll take a motion in a second.
Move it.
Moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Introductory number 55, authorizing an agreement and amending the 24-25 budget related to the Climate Action Plan. Just one question now that I think of it in addition to what we've asked before. If the program started in August, what's the reason for it coming before us now?
This is actually for funds, basically for Natasha and the rest of the I team as they're hired to be able to do programs. So whether that's doing public engagement, to your point, or for travel, this is basically authorizing funding
Got it. So
for the walking around, not for paying her. She's paid through Johns Hopkins.
Got it. So Natasha is not a staff member of the city of Rochester,
That is correct.
and this money is to program the work that she's doing.
That
Thank
is
you.
correct.
Any further questions besides what we've talked about? If not, I'll take a motion.
Move it.
It's been
Second.
moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Instruction number 56, authorizing and mandatory agreements for the Neighborhood Ambassadors Program. Any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I'll take a motion.
Move it.
It's been
Second.
moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Introductory number 57, authorizing the cancellation or refund of erroneous taxes and charges. Questions, comments, or concerns?
Just a comment. I appreciate the detail that was included. It's just really helpful, so thank you for that.
I'll take a motion.
Move it.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Introductory number 58, a resolution authorizing an exception to the 24-25 debt limit for Rochester City School District purposes. Does anyone have any questions? We're not short on time. We do have Jacob Scott here. Folks like to just hear a high-level overview of the projects themselves. Jacob, would you mind giving us just a brief overview of the projects that are leading us to increase the debt limit? And I'm sorry, your colleague's name as well? Hey, Tom.
How about now?
Yep.
Okay. Good evening, council members. I did bring Tom Casa with me, who's the director of facilities for the Rochester City School District, who has been direct contact and has a really good overview of each one of the projects. So I'll let him kind of speak on my behalf with that.
Thanks.
Any particular one, or do you want to talk about the ones where they're joint?
Yeah, I think
Joint
I think the
project
ones that
city.
involve the city facilities would be great.
Okay. The first one on our list is $500,000 for School 5. This is the park behind the school, and what we're going to be doing is adding parking along Verona Street. That's the street behind the school where our buses discharge, and then we're going to be rearranging the field itself. We're going to be moving the baseball field a little bit further to the west, and then bringing the city's playground. We're going to build a new one up closer to the school. That's been a complaint all along, that the kids take quite a long time to get to the playground. And it's semi-remote from the school, so we're going to bring it closer to the building. And we're also going to be adding some more grade-appropriate apparatus for that particular playground. The next one is School 12 and the Douglas Academy, $800,000. That's a project principally in the art center. This is a kitchen, enlarging a cooking area and making a more of an appropriate kitchen, much like we did at Willie Lightfoot a couple of years ago for that kitchen over there. The next one is at 19 School. This project is a combined project at that site. We're going to be doing a roof replacement on the school portion, and then we're going to do a fire alarm replacement along with point addressable fire detection devices throughout the entire facility. That includes the school portion and the rec center. And then there's some exterior work on the rec center facade in that particular project. $800,000 of that is for the rec center portion. The next one that's a joint facility is the one for the Rochester Early College International High School, which you may not know, but it was formerly school number 3. That's where we've reestablished the Rochester Early College program. We're going to do quite a bit of work in our building portion, but for the rec center side, we're going to do a project to get better drainage on the pool deck. We're also going to replace the pool filtration system. And then there's some upgrades in the parking lot itself. We're going to resurface the entire parking lot and then reorganize it a little bit to gain some additional parking. The rest of the projects are district projects. School 52 is a project for replacing the slate roof over the gymnasium and doing a lot of repointing on the school, along with a parking lot resurfacing. Freddie Thomas is working. That's another one where we're going to do some grade level accommodations in the building for the reconfiguration that occurred last year. And we're also going to be doing some minor changes in the front of the building for the security checkpoint that's been established. Loretta Johnson, formerly Wilson Foundation on Genesee Street, that's going to have a fire alarm upgrade. It's also going to have a rooftop air conditioner for the portion of the building on the north end of the building, and then some other minor renovations, grade level appropriate. And then finally, the Monroe High School. This is going to add field lighting for the football field, and it'll also, you have to get aid on the outside portion of the building, like the field lighting, you got to do some work inside the building, so we're going to be upgrading the auditorium stage lighting, and that's a wrap of the projects for this year.
Thank you so much. That's a wonderful explanation. Before I turn it to council members for questions, Suzanne or Kim, these might be questions for you, but just to make sure that I follow. So these are expenditures that the district is making totally separately from school modernization, and they use our borrowing abilities, and right now we are being asked to increase how much we're borrowing or what our debt limit is, specifically because of the amount of work they're doing on buildings that we own and operate.
That's absolutely correct.
Okay. And is that usual? Do we regularly get asked to do this?
Yes. So whenever they come to us to borrow for the joint facilities, we generally come to council for an exception to the debt limit.
Got it. Thank you. Council members, any questions for our friends from the district? Councilmember Monroe.
Hi, Mr. Casa. For the Freddie Thomas School, is that secure entry? Does that have anything to do with the pool by chance, so that it can be accessed without people getting into the rest of the school?
No. Well, let me back up on that. In the past year or two, we've done some changes to the doors and the locking system there where we control movement. Principally, the doors have to exit out, so our students would be able to exit out of the building. That's by code. But we put alarms and cameras on those doors so that if the door is tripped, it'll alarm, and our staff would take notice of our children moving. The two doors that come out of the two locker rooms have to exit into our corridor, that common corridor. Mm-hmm. We're putting alarms on those doors. They're already on there that the staff engage. So if they get instructed not to come out through those doors, but if the public is using the pool in the morning and they come through that door, they'll alarm, and that'll alert our staff that we've got the public coming out into the space that the kids are in.
Okay, so I'm picturing if I came in that one doorway off of the front loop right by the pool, you have the long hallway, the locker room access would be to your left, and then it would also be the access into the pool itself? When
you come in the door, we're talking again, maybe I got the wrong building, wait a second.
Freddie Thomas.
You're talking Freddie Thomas.
Yeah. And sorry, I'm sure you don't have every single school pictured in your head.
I bet he does.
We don't have common use of the pool at Freddie Thomas during the day when the kids are there. I'm sorry, I was thinking you were talking about Adams Street.
Gotcha.
Adams Street. There's no common use of the pool at Freddie Thomas while the school is open. We do have that common use at Adams Street because of the rec center and the desire by the city to have use of that pool while our kids are in there, and I was trying to describe that one. So
okay.
Pardon me.
Okay. And certainly, I mean, as always, the more access we can allow the community to have to the pools are so important so that everyone can learn how to swim. And I know at some point, some of the swim teams were also having meets at Freddie Thomas in addition to East. I don't know if that's still happening.
teams.
Sorry, not
High school
East,
teams.
Edison. Yeah.
And what was the question about it?
I was just saying, are the swim teams still using Freddie along with, I know Edison is another location that they use.
Yeah, they've used all those pools, right?
Great.
Edison, East, Freddie Thomas, right?
And then I'm sure this has been a discussion at different times, but I know that during COVID, some of the partnerships that were happening between the city or other community-based organizations and the city school district ended because we weren't doing things in the buildings. But I would love it if there was a way that we could get some access for School 7 over on Dewey Avenue. We certainly have a void there of after-school programming for kids, and I would love any guidance on being able to
program for 7
um,
or some other community use.
either, if it could be a city rec or some other
I
program.
mean, there's always the community use program process for that.
Okay. Are the principals the best people to start with on that, or is
You
the
can
best?
start with them to know. They'll be the best person to know what their needs are for those facilities and what permits are already on the books for those buildings. That's a good way to start.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
but
you.
Eventually, that permit will come to us. If it comes to us first, we always go back out to the principals for their approval on those permits.
Thanks.
Yep.
Jacob, go ahead. You were going to say something?
I was just going to say, in order to make things like seamless, if you want, I could, they could reach out to me, and I can touch base, of course, with the principal that is there. And I know we work closely with Shirley Green. I know there's not an R center that's over at School 7, but we have been kind of collaborating just with many of our school buildings to kind of provide access for students, children in those areas. So we can certainly look into possibly some after-school programming and also some summer programming as well.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Councilor Martin.
Can you talk about the timeline for renovations and whether it'll impact any students using some of these buildings?
You're talking about our centers.
Yes.
I would assume, right? The one at 5 school, that's slated to happen this summer. The one at 12 school, which has the R Center, that again is slated to happen hopefully this summer. There will be some impact, obviously, for that particular one. And our building itself has a capital project going on into it. 19, that project is actually, the rec center portion is next summer. It's not this summer. So that particular portion of the building will be accessible, although we're using our portion is going to have a roofing going, so there's going to be restrictions on our portion of the building. And then for early college, that's going to be a little bit on the disruptive side. The parking lot is going to interfere with Cornhill itself, and there's been some communications going back and forth on that. And then the other portion is that we've got a chiller replacement. Typically, when we're this late to get a project out, mechanical equipment is very slow. Delivery times on this, usually they're the type of thing that chiller won't arrive until fall, and then we'll do the swap on the chiller during the fall time. So that, but we've got a lot of work going on inside of our building, so our building is going to be off limits. We won't have access in there.
That's helpful.
I just want to add too, for the record, that none of like the summer programming should be hindered due to the construction. I'll go on record too, just to say that Dr. Shirley Green, Sarah Scott, Sarah Hooper, they have been very adamant about making sure that we're meeting on a regular basis, just to make sure that we're of course we're co-collaborating and everything else too, and trying to get these buildings to where they need to be, but also not interfering with any of the summer programming that's taking place.
That's great news. Thank you both so much.
Any final questions? Great. Thank you both for your time. We'll take a motion on 58.
Move it.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Introductory number 59. A bond ordinance of the City of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of $17,020,000 bonds of said city to finance the cost of improvements to specified city school district buildings. So we just discussed. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Move it.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Introductory number 60, authorizing agreements for violence prevention services. This was a tweener that came to us today.
Chair Gerber, I'd ask that we hold it in committee. I received some information where we might be amending it.
Okay.
Thank you.
I mean, it came to us like 12 hours ago, so I'm not sure why it came to us if it was going to be amended. I'd also just like to ask for the record right now, because we've talked about this a little bit, Councilmember Lupien. This is related to emergency needs for the Pathways to Peace program. Deputy Mayor, am I correct that the Pathways to Peace program is a function of the administration?
Yes.
Have there been any requests directly to the administration for the addition of the $40,000 that are here?
We're not aware of any additional requests for emergency funds.
Okay, so I just want to make sure we acknowledge that, but if you'd like to hold it so we can have it amended and come back to us, I'm perfectly happy to do that.
I'm just wondering if you're attempting to paint the picture that this is useless.
The picture that I'm painting is the one we've already discussed, which is that to give a place that we already have contracts with additional dollars before they've expended their contract feels like a very irresponsible use of taxpayer dollars. And it can be amended, and we can talk about it then, or we can talk about it now. It makes no difference to me.
Sure.
What's your preference?
We can talk about it now.
Well, I don't want to talk about it unless we're going to vote for it now. So do you want to
And
wait
we
for
will
us?
hold it.
Okay, great. So we will hold it, and we will move on to introductory number 18, which was held in committee. And there's amendment to 18, authorizing an amendatory agreement related to the Racial and Structural Equity Race Commission's recommendations. I need a motion to amend, which is to clarifying terms and amounts from the county and city.
I'll make that motion.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Now let's vote on amending introductory number 18. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we'll make a motion to adopt introductory number 18 as amended.
I'll move it.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. Before we do that, I'll just state that Councilmember Martin asked for a presentation on this subject, but we have a work session coming up, correct, Jen? Do we have a date for that?
Yes, right now, March 6th.
Wonderful.
For the work session for race.
So we'll have plenty of questions. I assume many of those questions are about what's happening in race, but not whether or not we should fund it. So I'm very comfortable with this moving forward. But any questions, comments, or concerns before we vote on introductory number 18 as amended? Great. Then I'll take a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And with no further business of the BFG committee, we stand adjourned.
really exciting. And now I'm going back to Albany. Yes. So tired. Okay. 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 Let me talk to Patrick. Okay. Thank you.
I'm good. How are you?